Kiss.
Yo, it's your boy Mike Smith, also known as AKISNBA, also known as the coolest guy in sports. Here with another new series. I want to give you guys the most overrated player in the history of each NBA franchise. Week by week, I'm going to pick a team, and I'm going to tell you the most overrated player in the history of each NBA franchise. Then I'm going to do, once that series is done with the 30 NBA teams, I'm going to do 30 the most underrated players in the history of each NBA franchise to go along with my other videos and my overrated and underrated videos, and also the Who's Better videos as well, and also the podcast. But to start things off, the Atlanta Hawks, the most overrated player in NBA history for the Atlanta Hawks has to be Joe Johnson. And the Atlanta Hawks decided to give Joe Johnson a boatload of money in the late 2020s to be their superstar, to be their main player, to be their go-to guy. We know that what happened with the Phoenix Suns, where Joe Johnson wanted out, he got hurt with the Phoenix Suns, and he came back, and they eventually lost to the San Antonio Spurs, and he was a key piece in the clog, in the core of the Phoenix Suns, but he wanted out because he felt that the Phoenix Suns lowballed him his initial offer. So basically, Joe Johnson wanted out, and they ended up trading him to the Atlanta Hawks for 2 future first-round picks and Boris Diaw. And basically, it was kind of the Phoenix Suns' fault because that kind of ruined their title window. That kind of ruined their cohesiveness with their organization, with them competing each and every year, because Joe Johnson was a key member of that organization and was a key and vital piece. And he also was very young during that time. And when he left Phoenix, he was 24 years old when he signed with the Atlanta Hawks. And he played with the Atlanta Hawks for 7 years. For his career there, he averaged about 19.4 points per game. And the thing about it is he was making a lot of money. So at first he was making like $40 or $70 million contract, I believe, with the Atlanta Hawks. But then it came in the 2010-2011 season, the same season where LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade signed with the Miami Heat. They offered him, I believe it was a 6-year, $123 million contract for Joe Johnson. So people are going to say that his time with the Atlanta Hawks wasn't that great because the Atlanta Hawks wasn't really that successful in the playoffs. And for you to have paid Joe Johnson so much money during that time with the Atlanta Hawks, for them was struggling to make the playoffs. And when they were in the playoffs, they wasn't doing that well. And for him to be your number one guy, your best player on your team, you're offering him so much money, he didn't get it done. So that's why I say he's the most overrated player in the history of the Hawks franchise. Now, there's a difference between overrated and being overpaid. Now, we're looking at just his skill and his game set. Joe Johnson was a stud. He can create his own offense. He can play off the decent defense that is on him and basically go get a bucket no matter what. He had that type of skill set. He had that type of package, the creative package where he could put the ball on the floor and get you a bucket. He's almost very similar to Paul Pierce, and one could argue that if Paul Pierce never won a championship, he would basically be what Joe Johnson was with the Atlanta Hawks and with the Brooklyn Nets. But we know the Atlanta Hawks ended up trading him to the Brooklyn Nets 2 years after that deal. So this time with the Atlanta Hawks wasn't really that great. So that's why I call him the most overrated player in the history of the Hawks franchise. But let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think? Do you think Joe Johnson is overrated when he was a member of the Atlanta Hawks? Do you think he was underrated when he was a member of the Atlanta Hawks? Or do you just simply think that he was a solid player who just got paid too much money? He was neither overrated or underrated. He was just a player that got overpaid and really didn't live up to expectations due to the fact of all the large dollars that he was getting to play for the Atlanta Hawks. So that's it. Just really think about it. A 6-year, $123 million deal for Joe Johnson when he had 1 year left in his prime at the age of 29 years old. What was the Atlanta Hawks thinking? What were they smoking? But credit to Joe Johnson, credit to his agent for getting that deal done, because at that time he was the highest paid player in the NBA. He was making more money than LeBron James. He was making more money than Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, even though they took pay cuts. But still, though. So what do you guys think? Do you think Joe Johnson was the most overrated player for the Atlanta Hawks in the history of their franchise? I certainly do. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell to stay updated on these videos. Join the movement. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs. AKISN Nation, support, support, support. I'm gone, man. Peace.